What up? It's your boy T-Bird here. Reaction today. I'm about to do I originally do like make up with some music Monday stuff I didn't get to, but I'm just do one thing that I would have done music Monday, but I want to get it out the way right now. Shout out to the homie Be the Man, my boy Bryce, and from All Wrong Reserve Media. Or All Wrong Media Reserve. I keep the name right. Hold up. I gotta make sure. All Wrong Reserve Media, I think it is. Either way, shout out to my boy Be the Man. But let me make sure I got it. Yep, All Wrong Reserve. Yep. Wrong Reserve Media. So I'll Be the Man though. Hear me up saying that Navie D had up a new video up though called about sampling. You know, I'm a sample head and I'm into sampling with some of my music as well too. Whether it's sampling from actual songs, sampling from track lit, or using royalty free samples of like, you know, the sample sounds, whatever, everything. This is a good little tip to go right here too for Navie D. Shout out to Navie D anyway. He always has some dope videos breaking down whether it's doing tutorials on hip hop or to talk about the current state of the tutorial on beats, or as well as the current state of music world too, or stuff behind the music as well too. That thing about modern day boom bap was pretty dope as well too. So but now we're gonna check this video. He got his sampling video Artform. I feel like it is. I feel like it is. A lot of the great sounds come from sampling, so I wouldn't think otherwise. But let's see what he said. Let's see what the naysayers may say. I know some naysayers definitely say it's not. I mean, something is stealing, something is just copying, ain't real producing, something like that. I'm trying to find my phone charger. That's why I'm like looking down. But anyway, so without further ado, let's check out this thing from this video from Navie D about sampling being an art form. Shout out to man, be the man, who's a fellow sampler head as well as a musician as well too. Anyway, let's get it.
This is Steve. Let me ask, do you agree with Steve?
As a creative tool, like for someone to use a sample of an existing piece of music for their music, I think it's extraordinarily lazy.
But wait, there's more.
You think the people doing it should be embarrassed for behaving this way. What they're doing is cheap and easy, and everyone else can tell that it's cheap and easy.
Lazy, cheap.
Hold on. One, I'm putting a different quality, but still, wow. I'm gonna say this right now. It's not lazy. It's not cheap. It's that shit ain't cheap. I'll tell you that right now. You know what I mean? For folks, it ain't cheap. I'll tell you that. But lazy, I want to say that all because it takes a lot to do with samples to make it perfect. I mean, lazy. I can see it being called lazy if you're just rapping over a song. I can see it be called lazy, but not really. In my opinion, that's still like, you know, an art form in my opinion still, because like it's pretty much a freestyle. I mean, I give that to you. But as far as chop up sample, all that is not lazy, but I know Navie D is gonna deflect this person's. I can see why, you know. Of course, the guys who do production, who produce for live bands, and all is gonna say that as well too. Of course, I mean, you're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear out of somebody that produce for live bands and live artists. I mean, because live musicians are the main ones who hate on beat makers. I'm gonna tell you, not all, but they're the main ones. So yeah, of course. But other than that, let's keep going because the live bands are the one making their own music, while we are like taking sounds from other different sounds. Okay, so what? It's still art form, but let's Navie D get them.
Cheap and easy. This is how a lot of people see sampling. Honestly, at times I don't blame them. Taking someone else's music, copying and pasting it, and then putting your name on it can be lazy, cheap, and easy from a production standpoint. But here's a problem. This argument doesn't actually make sense or hold up. Now why? Well, today I want to
like I said, I can see why he can say that, because some people will use another person's song as their own at times as well too. That is lazy, cheap, and easy as well too. Some people got outed for that as well too. But yeah, But let's hear what he say though.
Explain why sampling is not cheap, easy, or lazy, and I'll show you 3 pieces of evidence that will convince you. This is serious stuff, guys. I plan on taking this case all the way to the Supreme Court, but I will need funding, so a steady income of likes and subscribes will be enough. Thank you. So let me submit the first piece of evidence. The footage I showed earlier was from a documentary called Copyright Criminals, and in it, this is the famous example that they use.
This was like always that was like the pinnacle. I think that was the song that sparked the whole folks are stealing music thing for sampling. I think this was the song right here that sparked it at all. It was. It's like, it wasn't like people didn't complain too much about sampling until this came out and became a big hit. Yeah, because Rick James was a little irked about that.
MC Hammers can't touch this, using Rick James Super Freak as a sample. And to give the devil his due, I kind of agree on this one. From a production standpoint, this is where sampling can be cheap, easy, or lazy. This is pretty much how MC Hammer's beat was made. Not all that impressive. But let's take another song, Kingdom Come by Jay-Z. Now what might surprise you is that this beat uses the same sample. In fact, Just Blaze, producer of this beat, even uses the exact same piece that MC Hammer did, and this sounds drastically different. When you break down how this beat was made, it's anything but cheap, lazy, or easy. Exactly. First, Just Blaze pitches the song down, making it sound slightly different than the original. Then he isolates all of these pieces and breaks the song up into tiny little chops. After making all these chops, he creates an insanely detailed pattern that absolutely floors me whenever I think about it. Not only that, he also takes an entirely different piece from Super Freak and creates a switch up, which fits perfectly with what he already made. And this is what gets left out of the sampling conversation. Yes, copying and pasting does exist, but what about this? When sampling goes way beyond copying and pasting, is this still lazy? The amount of work required to piece together microscopic little chops in a way that actually makes sense can be grueling. Another great example of this is Jay Dilla and how he made Little Brother.
We rep the ain't got, ain't nobody can't start, no party like us. Same marks, walking the main blocks painted with
what he managed to do was find every microscopic period of the song that had no talking on it. It's the equivalent of someone solving a 10,000 piece puzzle in record time. This sounds normal to you, and that's the thing. Like, he made it sound fluid. He made it sound like it was an actual loop.
You can see how many different pieces Dilla uses and how far apart they are from the original sample. The way that he pieces it all together is just incredible, especially when you consider how hard this must have been using limited hardware.
Listen.
So the question still remains, is sampling truly an art form? In these examples, the producers are still using other people's music to create their own. Yes, putting together a 10,000 piece puzzle is impressive, but isn't the puzzle's original artwork what's more impressive? So is sampling cheap because the producers don't create the music themselves? Well, yet again, this is yet another side of sampling that never gets talked about. Let me submit the next piece of evidence here.
Oh yeah.
Are You That Somebody, produced by Timbaland, which uses this sample.
Wow, I never knew that. I never knew that. That's why Timbaland's a man. I never knew that. Wow.
Now, hopefully you noticed something about this example. The music that you hear in Timbaland's beat doesn't actually exist in the sample. The first thing Timbaland does to make this beat is he takes this one note from the sample. And he uses this single note to create his own musical idea. But still, this isn't the full idea just yet. Timbaland then takes a second note from the same sample, and he creates this second musical pattern that works perfectly with the first one. So here, Timbaland is taking single notes and creating his own musical ideas. He's creating music where none existed.
That is true though. It's a lot of stuff that's like one note from a song can be made to a sample as well too, or one pieces of drum, or two pieces of a drum can be a drum break as well too, or drum kit as well too. You know, there's a hip hop drum kit that's like that was well used in the 80s well too, is the Rock's drums well too. I think is you take from the Led Zeppelin sample that Beastie Boy used, chopped up as well too, or the the shout drums chopped up as well too. So either way, but like you said, like say with Timbaland, he took a note, one or two notes from one song and made his own melody as well too. So that's another reason to tell you that sample is Artform as well too. And plus, you know, Timbaland's the man.
With samples of single notes. This is showing real musical ability all through the use of samples. So is this easy, cheap, and lazy? It's not copying and pasting. But again, there's a third argument against sampling that gets made all the time. So let me ask you a question. Let's say you had no idea how to make music and I gave you two choices for an instrument that you can use to make your own song. Option A, you could use a guitar. Option B, you could use a train. Now, if you're a sane person, you're obviously going to choose a guitar because that's an actual musical instrument. But this is where sampling can go even beyond traditional musical approaches. Exactly. Case in point, System Blower by Death Grips. Now, the sound that you heard in this song is a sample, not of an instrument or a pre-made loop or a piece of music. Here's the sample that was used. It's the sound of the SkyTrain in Vancouver. This is the piece here that was used from the sample. And when we add some effects and distortion onto it, we get a beat. So how is this a cheap or lazy idea? Surely it's easier to make a song out of an actual instrument than the sound of a train. This is something that we see all the time when people use samples. Like JPEG Mafia using the sound of a man wailing for the main melodic idea of his beat here. Bullet on the brow with the Glock hot. And this is the problem with saying something like sampling is cheap, easy, or lazy. Right now, you can find many people that say the same thing about AI art, for example. But there's a difference between making AI art like this and AI art like this. Every art form or style has its cheap, easy, and lazy version and its amazing, complex, and difficult version. Sampling is no different. To say an entire art form is one or the other is to be willfully ignorant in my opinion. There are so many cases where sampling is evidently much harder than just picking up an instrument and playing some notes, requiring much more creativity, technique, and effort. So that is my case for sampling. What do you think? Is this convincing or do you...
Definitely convincing. Like I said, he made some points, but I can go a little bit slightly lazy, cheap, and easy as well too. Case to point, the MC Hammer, you can't touch those well too. I mean, he did like use the loop the sample over and over, but just adds his own drums and sound effects though, and as well too. I mean, it's still a musical form, but as far as sampling, it was like a simple loop or anything as well too. But do not discourage about it. But I always say this: don't get discouraged about using simple loops. I mean, as long as you tweak it a little bit as well too, add some stuff to it, it's still gonna sound good. So I mean, regardless, I'm saying. But I can see why some folks will feel that way. I mean, of course, a lot of musicians gonna go there. This is something made out of their heart. they talent and everything as well too. Sometimes they feel like a beat maker's not as talented as them, but I beg to differ. But other than that, this was a good video to watch. I will say that. So other than that, if you like more reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.